What's up, y'all? Believe in Kentucky? Cole, man, I don't know about you, but I'm still trying to get used to the intro. It's still, it's our faces just popping up in amongst the highlights, and it's a good problem to
Yeah, I
have.
mean, I love the music. I'm nodding my head along to it, but my face is probably my least favorite part of it. It is weird seeing myself pop up there. I'm like, ah. I mean,
That's
right now it's a little bit rough, but I was like, damn, I really let the facial hair get that long in some of those videos. Man, I needed a haircut in some of those times, man. I do got the fresh cut. I need to shave, but man, I'm not looking my Sunday best in some of those podcasts, man.
well, I'll just tell everybody go back to that. Is it your Twitter profile where you was dapper, you had the suit on, or you was in
uh,
Milwaukee or something for the tournament, and you had a
Which one? Is that
blazer
my
on.
Twitter profile? No, my Twitter
Oh,
profile is the SEC photo that I got. One of them though, I do have my suit in one of those photos. It's in
yeah.
something. I don't remember what it is, but
And for y'all that listen and have watched for a while, Cole was actually on here in a suit one time. It was the anniversary dinner. So you know he can dress up, and he has. I haven't dressed up on here. I haven't been on here in a suit. So see, you got that going for you, man. And La
I mean,
Familia,
if you're gonna buy a suit, you might as well wear it, right?
yeah, for sure, for sure. And La Familia has another win going for them, and they got a championship game this weekend. And you were in the same spot as the other day. Were you in the same spot tonight?
Yeah, exact same
Okay.
spot right at the end of the courtside press seating. So I was right there for it. Got to see the whole thing. Obviously not quite as dicey as some of the other games have been. They decimated JHX. The final score will not even come close to reflecting how dominant this game was. I mean, it was like pulling teeth getting that last bucket, Vinny, but they got it. That's all that matters. They were up by 23 points at one point in this game. They outscored JHX, which is Kansas alumni, for those of you who don't know. They outscored them 21-7 in the third quarter. Chris Coffey was having himself a day in the third. I mean, it was just a stellar performance from start to finish. The defensive pressure was insane. And this was a stat that we were given in the post game that is just nuts to me. Um, they scored 7 points in the third quarter. Five of those were free throws, Vinny. They had one field goal.
I
One
saw
field
that.
goal.
I
John
saw
Hood said
that.
that's pretty close to a perfect quarter if he's ever seen one defensively.
It's crazy. My son said he said that's their first bucket of the second half. And I was like, what? Because they gave him 37 points. And I'm like, really? They really hit five free throws and one hoop. So yeah, that was insane.
Yeah, this whole game, man, it was. There were times, when you're watching the game and not really looking at the scores close. I'm like, man, they're La Familia, man, they're struggling. They're not letting them get close. And then I look up and it's like 20 points, and I'm like, how did that happen? I mean, at times they couldn't get a defensive rebound to save their lives. At times they were making some sloppy turnovers, couldn't hit a bucket. But the defense was simply elite tonight. It really was. And at the end of the day, they hit the big shots and they needed to hit them. They had the moments they needed to have. And I think, let me double check this. I think the 16, okay, no, they had a 20-point second. I was going to say, I think the 16 they had in the fourth might be the best they had all night, but no, they had a 20 second, but Kentucky had 22 in the second. So even when it felt like it was a game that, it didn't always feel like Kentucky was dominating as much as they were. And then you look up and it's a 21-point game and you're like, oh my goodness, man. Like JHX Kansas did not have. Did I lose you there? Are we back?
Yeah, like it froze up for just a second. You said JX did not,
They
JHX
didn't
did
have
not
any
have.
answers. They didn't have
Yeah.
any answers all night long.
Now this is nitpicking. The funny thing to me is Archie Goodwin had two free throws to win it and missed them both, and then hit that tough fadeaway at a
Hmm.
ridiculous angle to
Nothing easy.
clinch it. Yeah, so
Nothing easy around here. No, I was fully ready for the tweet, man. I was all hyped. I was like, Archie Goodwin hits a free throw to go to a championship game. What a story, man. And then, I think back to I don't know if you like those stupid, stupid NBA videos. There's just like the voiceovers of the clips, and I think of the Celtic clip, the I'm gonna make them both donk, donk, double miss. I mean, uh, it was painful. I think, obviously I try to record the final bucket of every game. I think I deleted like 20 videos. I was record, stop, record, stop, record, stop. I mean, it was constant, but they hit it. At the end of the day, I said it in the tweet. I said, who else but Archie? I mean, it had to be one of the most ridiculously difficult shots you've ever seen to win because nothing can come easy in these kind of things. And at the end of the day, they got what they needed. Archie Goodwin with the fadeaway kind of short range shot, and La Familia wins it. They're the alumni champions, so they're the
Mhm.
best alumni team in the country this season, and they'll go on to face I think either the Mecca or David Steele. I think are the two teams on the non-alumni side. Um, the less cared about side of the bracket, we'll
Yeah.
say. Um, I would love for a matchup with the Mecca. I just think that would be so just poetic if Kentucky was facing the Mecca for a title. But at the end of the day, the alumni bracket is done. Kentucky is on top. Archie Goodwin with the shot to win and send him to the championship for $2 million.
Yes. I think the Elam ending, which it was Bob Rathbun and Mike Bray on TV commentating. It just gets some. It gets everybody a little just out of kilter because you mentioned how they were dominating, and then they get to the Elam ending, and then they get to where they need 1 point, and they jack a few threes, and then at
Mm-hmm.
this point, Kansas like we have nothing to lose, so they start getting a few buckets. It's still a 15-point game, but the crowd is kind of starting to tense up because you're like, are we gonna, And of course, Archie did what he did, but it's just funny because like this whole game, you see one team is clearly better.
Mm-hmm.
They have taken Kansas behind the woodshed. It reminded me of like 2015 when they played Kansas for real and just blew them out that time in Chicago, I think it was. Or the UCLA game was 41-7 at halftime. It was they were just choking them out. You said it.
Mm-hmm.
You said it, Cole. Kansas had no answers and they didn't. But then Elam Ending gets loosey goosey for a minute because you just need a bucket. Like we're in the park and we say next score wins,
Mm-hmm.
and then neither team can score because it's just something mental. Kansas went on a little for them scoring flurry, and then La Familia couldn't get a couple buckets. But
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few things that go into that. Obviously, I do agree that, it can definitely throw you off kilter saying, I need 1 point. Like,
yeah,
theoretically, getting one bucket should be easy. You've gotten a ton of them, but there's so
yeah,
much more emphasis on that one. I also think, too, I could feel the crowd kind of tense up a little bit, too, but in my head, I don't want to say that. Yeah, after the Syracuse game, Archie said that they really, really like the Elam ending. They feel like they trust in their defense. They know they're good at getting stops, so they know that they can win those kind of situations, and it gives them a benchmark to get to. In this case, I think it was almost to their detriment to go into an Elam ending and be 1 point away with like a 20-point lead because I'm not going to say they didn't try because there were certainly a few times to contest, but at the end of the day, when you're up 20 points, you need one bucket. If Kansas is on the fast break, then you're like, oh well, they can have that one. I'll
yeah.
live. We'll get it on the next one. And then you miss the next one and they go for another shot. And it has to cross your mind at least, especially with these guys, these vets and who have been dealing with a lot of stuff anyway. You're like, I don't want to get myself hurt over here trying to make a crazy defensive play when we've got an 18-point cushion over here. Like I'll let them get that one and then I'll go get the
Mhm.
next one. And
Yeah.
then the same thing happens. You're like, well, it's still 16 points. Like
Mhm.
I think that there is degree of that. You can almost see them kind of coast a little bit at times.
Yeah.
But it was like John Hood said when he came to the press conference and he said, "We're never going to apologize for a win." It could have been better. It could have. He said it should have been worse in terms of like the score for Kansas. He said it should have been worse, but we're not going to apologize for a win. At the end of the
Mhm.
day, whether it was a 13-point victory like it was, or if they held it on to a 20-point victory, the only thing that matters is they got a double-digit victory and they're going to the championship game to play for the ultimate prize, and it's going to be right here in Lexington on Sunday.
Yeah. So I think, like you said, it's a little bit of human nature, and it's like, oh, I'll give him that one, give him that one, and then it's like, all right, let's go ahead and get this over with.
It's like, all right, let's enough of this. I
Yeah.
think too, for as much as the crowd tenses up and gets frustrated, there were definitely people getting frustrated with some of the misses. I think the players too. You get to a point where you're just like, all right, man, like let's get this bucket and just be done with it, man. Like
Hmm.
let's get it over with.
Yo.
and they finally got that done. They scored the winning bucket, and then again the crowd pop. Maybe it would have been bigger if they'd hit it a little bit earlier, but it was still a fantastic pop. The crowd, the way they've embraced this team is just so special. I mean, this place was rocking today. I think there was a, I mentioned it in a tweet I put out. There was a situation there where Sean McNeil, he had the ball at the towards the right of the top of the key, and he looks at the defender, kind of takes a pause, and then just shoots the three over his head with a kind of like a higher arc, and it just
Yeah.
drains in. The crowd went nuts, man. I think I went temporarily deaf in here. It was insane the kind of crowd reaction they were getting today. And I think that, Archie, he put out a challenge. He said, I hope we can fill out the whole gym on Sunday. He said, I want to see the whole place full. And, they didn't shy away from what that does. He said, I think that at the end of the day, you can prepare for a team, you can prepare for schemes, you can try to prepare for a crowd, but you can't really prepare for a hostile atmosphere like that. It's something you just have to experience. They're not out here doing the Kentucky football thing of sitting on a practice field with speakers blaring. And even that, I mean, those players will tell you, you can try your best to get prepared, but until you experience that, it's hard to adjust. And, it's Chris Coffey spoke about it too, where when you have the crowd against you like that, not only, especially when the team is struggling as is, as Kansas was, it's
Hmm.
hard for any one player to really get going because you make one mistake and the whole crowd is on you, and that kind of takes away a player's ability to take over the game. It even if these guys have been playing for a while, it does rattle your confidence a little bit to be in a gym full of people, and one especially like this that's more intimate in environment and nature that kind of amplifies the noise. That's what you hear a lot about Cameron Indoor with Duke as well. Some of these smaller arenas that aren't as big as Rupp Arena per se, but are more of a close atmosphere. They just create this like tornado of noise all around you, and it rattles you. I mean, I think it's just human nature that rattles you, especially when you're trying to be locked in, you're trying to go on your game, and things aren't going your way anyway, and then suddenly you got hundreds, if not thousands, of people just making fun of you and chanting and yelling at you. I mean, it's hard to play basketball in those conditions, and it really does make the difference.
Yes, absolutely. So just a couple of things. This is, I mean, TBT will be over by the time our next episode is, and we'll hope to be talking about a championship for Kentucky. Glad that they're not wearing the orange shirts. John Fanta, those guys were in Rupp Arena with orange TBT shirts on. I think last year, year before. So glad they got black shirts on. And but the Serve Pro sponsor,
Mhm.
that's orange on the thing. I'm like, ah. But
Hey man, when it comes to sponsors, you take what you can get.
ain't that the truth? Because there's so many that don't match. But just
Louisville's
it's
up there rocking Planet Fitness.
when it's orange, I just get a strike in my eye, and I just But
Hmm.
great run, and it's only fitting because with the way it started off so shaky, with the roster stuff, with the Aaron Harrison, kind of calling out Archie, and then Archie saying, "I got more to my life than basketball." The way it all started, and then behind the scenes, 20 is trying to put a squad together. It's only fitting that they
Hmm.
go run now after the shaky
Yeah,
beginning.
dude, I was talking about that. We were back in the media area at halftime, and I was talking about this one. I was like, man, after everything this year, out of all the teams, this team is the one that has the best chance to win the whole thing. I mean, I think that first TBT team Kentucky had was probably the best. I think that would run circles around anyone in this event right now. It was probably one of the best alumni teams I've ever seen. And then obviously it didn't go quite their way. Nate Sestina has to go out and miss the final game
Yeah.
for personal reasons. I think it was a wedding, but um, this team, I put it out a few times, I think in my reactions on social media, but like it just has a team of destiny feel about it. It was rocky coming together. There was questions about how it was going to go. You had the blowout loss in Freedom Hall. I mean,
Yeah.
just an abysmal showing in Louisville. And then from there, they haven't lost a game, and they've looked pretty firmly in control of every game they've played since then. It just feels like you could just feel it. Some of the shots they were taking, you're like, man, if they're not like blessed, I don't know like that goes in. I don't know that it does. It just some of those shots when they let them go, you're just like, I just feel it. I think there was one in either the third quarter or fourth quarter. Archie like he goes to make a drive. The defender like rattles the ball out and he catches it with like 1 second on the clock and just jumps and flings it. and it banks into the three. Like I was like, what in the world, man? Like in what planet are you making that?
Yeah.
This one, apparently. And
Mhm.
it really does feel like a team of destiny. It's ridiculous to me. Like if you'd gone back to when I was still at Peach Jam and this roster was getting put together after media days and they were playing their first games and you told me this group was going to go to the championship of the entire thing, be the best alumni team, I'd be like, what are you talking about? But here
Mhm.
we are. Here we are. They're a great group. They play together well. They're a defensive menace, and they just keep winning basketball. And at the end of the day, we talk about it with March Madness. We talk about it with anything. It really doesn't matter who you are, what your outcome looks like. You just keep winning. You just keep winning. You survive. You advance, and that's how you win titles.
Yeah. Because I was on here, just win or lose, no matter how far you go or if you get knocked out in the first game. I was hoping for a roster that just stayed the same throughout. That was
Yeah,
my plea, and then here they are, playing for $2 million on Sunday. So it all came together, and it's. I think the Archie might get his wish. They might really fill it up Sunday. All the talk about now the past few games, the upper bowl, not a lot going on. The lower bowl, it's hyped down there, but there'll be a lot more folks
you
up
got the
there in
weekend. You got
one,
the championship game for $2 million. You got the Kentucky team there. I feel like it's gonna be a great crowd on Sunday.
yeah, up there 112 and 113 behind you, and all around the rest of the way. It's gonna be some people up there for sure, for sure. Oh, the other thing, I guess, man, if we shift as far as Kentucky goes, flip to football. You talk about rosters coming together and stuff in basketball. Pat Biondo
Hmm.
with the GM situation uh, came out of the blue. I mean, I don't know how much notice anybody had. I think that shocked everybody with
Yeah,
him
I mean it
stepping down.
very firmly caught me off guard. I think I was driving or something like that. And I get I always get the emails that says UK press release. I was like, what? And I click on it and I was a little bit anxious. The last time I was just driving and got a random UK press release, it was the Nick Smith one. So I was not ready for what I was about to open and I look at it, it says Pat Biondo resigning and obviously much better news than what happened with Happy, but still just a monumental shift of everything you're expecting. I think you were spot on in saying that I don't know that anybody was expecting that. I don't know who really had much of a heads up on that kind of decision. It's for personal reasons that we no one to my knowledge really knows all that well right now. At least not putting it out. But yeah, I mean, a huge shift, and that's a guy who I thought was doing a really, really great job with Kentucky football, and I'm not the only one who thinks that. There's a lot of people behind the scenes, in the media, all around the program that thought he was doing a fantastic job as the GM. He came over on the plane with Will Stein. Was we
Yeah.
found out that he was going to be hired right before his introductory press conference. Just a guy that you thought was going to be there for a long time, and then resigns less than a week before media day and a week before fall camp starts. I mean, it was a shocking change, a shocking shift. Um, but at the end of the day, I think they did the thing that makes the most sense. They immediately promoted Pete Nocta to his spot. He was already the assistant GM. Now he's
Hmm.
the full-time GM. Jay Batt had a lot of good things to say about him. Will Stein had good things to say about him. Haven't heard a lot of bad things about Pete knocked out there. So I think that at the end of the day, you made lemonade out of lemons with a situation that probably caught a whole lot of people off guard. That obviously we hope everything's okay with Biondo and his personal life and whatever's going on there. But I think with Kentucky football, the situation it was in, losing a guy like that, you make the most that you can out of it by just promoting Nocta, a guy that already has the connections, already knows the people, is familiar with the area. As Stein said, he understands what we're doing here. I think the biggest hope is that you just hope that Kentucky football doesn't really miss a beat, that they keep rocking where they've been rocking and rolling where they've been rolling, and that Nocta is able to kind of fill those shoes that many people expected him to fill when the news first came out.
Hmm. Absolutely. So it's about as smooth and quick a recovery as you can make under those circumstances, and that's what they did. And you nailed it. Hope everything it's all right with Biondo in his personal life, and um, we'll see. Like you have an assistant now. He's moving right up, and that's what Nocta is going to do. And maybe they'll get an assistant for Pete Nocta, and we'll see who that is, and they'll just keep it moving, I guess, from now on. So
Hey,
all
they
the
say they say good leaders think that their followers will replace them one day, and great leaders know they will. Maybe you didn't know it was going to be before the season even starts, but
yeah
hey, at the end of the day, the chain of command worked as it was supposed to. You just move Nocta right up a peg, and you keep rolling.
yeah, and all the flack Mark Pope got about not even having a GM, which you got Keegan Brown now, but he's not called a GM. He's a dorm the director of roster
Director of
management.
roster management, yeah.
Yeah, so uh, but
He said they got like a four-person GM team kind of deal
yeah,
that they got going on in there. I
hmm
wrote a whole story about it, but I don't know it off the top of my head. Just sitting, if I'm being completely candid with you, sitting here right now in historic Memorial Coliseum, I could not recite it to you off my dome what the situation is. But there is a story about it on thecatspaws.com breaking down exactly what the four-person team is, who's involved, what they do. But um, off the top of my head, I cannot tell you. I do know that Keegan Brown is a dorm, though, director of
yes,
player or roster management. So
yes. So
there you
there
go.
we go. There we go. Um, Past few episodes, you've talked about how you were kind of down bad. You've been going through it. You had Mark Story on, and you were you know on the struggle bus. So we have had a Boston Red Sox 15-game winning streak.
We
Uh,
have.
so
They got to
I,
500 again,
I
a little
just,
bit beyond.
so
I remember I texted my buddy that they won. It was like after like their 10th or 11th, maybe 12th game of the win streak. And it's like 12 wins straight. And I'm like, 500. We're back. But
so
they got a few wins over it, and they've obviously lost since then, but they've also won a few since then. So we'll take those wins around here, Vinny. I think I said it on a previous episode about something. I think it was about me calling Spain winning the World Cup. We take wins where we get them around here. So I'm
yes,
taking that win. I'm taking all those wins, taking them straight to the bank. And Sixers fans don't deserve LeBron, but we'll continue going.
Mm.
They don't deserve it.
if it if if it comes together for them, I was talking with Michael Tillery, been in Philly for 50 years. He remembered them signing Moses Malone and them coming up short in 77 in the finals against Portland and 80 against the Lakers, and the excitement in the city when Moses Malone was signed to pair up with Dr. J. And I asked him, I was like, look, the perspective when we're younger, everything's larger than life and all that. But 50 years later, he legit put the LeBron signing impact on the city, pulse of Philly, what's going on with Moses coming in 83, and it's legit on the same level. So they're excited. If it plays out and LeBron can just dish to Edgecombe, dish to Maxi, dish to Jalen Brown, and then be down low healthy, that could be problematic for the East. I'm just saying.
Hey,
That's a
look,
big
Vinny,
if. But
Vinny, we don't leak texts around here, but you know my text to you. I'm in hater mode. I'm liking all the tweets that are hating. I'm liking all the jokes, all the memes. I'm all over it. But no, I saw the headline. I was driving again. Bad things happen when I drive, Vinny. I need to stop driving apparently. Bad things happen. But um usually to me, not to anybody else, but to me,
yeah,
bad things happen.
brutal.
Regardless, um, I was driving and I get the headline and I just text a friend of mine who's from Philly. And she went to UK. We met at the student newspaper, but she's from around Philly. I just texted her, "You don't deserve this."
Mm,
Period. And I immediately get a FaceTime. She was on a work meeting. She didn't even know. She said, "What is that in reference to?" Like already getting excited. And I said, "I think you know. Like LeBron's a Sixer." And I was just like, I'm sick. I feel
uh,
sick to my stomach. I wanted to gag, to throw up right in my car. I was disgusted that, you say trust the process for a decade and you're like, let's just go buy a team. That's the
mm,
process. Let's go buy a team. God. Gonna
yeah.
have to I think I put it on my Instagram story. I said, sounds like a great year to not follow the NBA.
Mm,
I am not excited whatsoever. for anything that's going to happen this upcoming season with the NBA. If Philadelphia actually does even like really contend for a title, bad
like
things are going to happen,
like
Vinny. I'm not
conference
going to
finals.
I'm not going to make any kind of threat, but bad things are going to happen.
Boy, this time uh, May, May of 2027, folks, we might see these bad things. Just hang in there. We'll see what happens. The Sixers are
Better
still
not.
playing in May. That will
Better
be.
not.
Now we was trying to uplift you, talk about the Red Sox winning 15 in a row, and you predicting Spain, and now we already veered back to all the things that bring you gloom.
You're right. Let's
Uh,
go back to the Red Sox. They're doing great. Great Red Sox.
I gotta go across the country. Got to go to the Bay because if this happened in Lexington, if we're not don't wish anything on anybody. If Will Stein was in an accident and you didn't say anything for 11 days, Cole Park, I lost Kyle Shanahan and whatever's happening out there with Niners. Y'all, you Adam Luckett, Nick Roush, nobody said anything for a week and a half, and then UK football tweets out Will Stein in an accident. He won't be available for fall camp. Joe Sloan is going to be the interim head coach while he recovers. If I mean, that's what it would be for us. That's what just happened out there. What's going on? And that's what we would be saying if it happened here.
Yeah, man. I mean, first things first, obviously, glad he's okay.
Yes.
Glad he's all right, that he's seeming like he's gonna make a recovery, that he's all good there. I mean, you never want to see someone get in an accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I also respect, obviously, wish it hadn't happened in the first place, but I respect that he immediately kind of came out and said, the report that said it was the other girl's fault is wrong. It was my fault. I was the one who messed up. I was looking for my phone. That to me, I respect that. That's a character move. Not to do it in the first place, but to like go out there and immediately admit that you were wrong, or that you were in the wrong, and to put the headline right. I respect that. However, I'm not going to tell anybody how to do their job. I'm not someone who wants to sit up here and rag on media. But I agree with you, Vinny. What are we doing? What in the like? Was it like a situation where they knew and they just weren't putting it out? If so, why? And two, like nobody on the beat, like assuming that they didn't just know and refuse to put it out for whatever reason, which I think is problematic on its own. If nobody knew, you got the whole beat and ain't nobody heard that your head coach was in a serious car accident. What are we doing?
Yeah.
I you think that, you know, obviously sometimes it's a fallacy, sometimes it's true, but you feel like the higher the level of the sport, that theoretically the coverage should be more, that the reporters should be at a higher level. That's not always the case. There's fantastic reporters that just want to cover college, that want to cover different things, but nobody in the NFL media put out this thing for 11 days. I don't know what was going on there, man. I can't fathom it. I really can't.
The Niner specific outlets, and then your pro football talks, all your big time NFL cover the whole shield, every aspect of the shield, and they didn't say anything either. Man, it was just weird, mm, just odd stuff. So you know, uh, had to at least kick that around, and glad he's okay. And this is, you have a coach who's had some stuff going on with the media that coaches your team now. That's I'm coming at it. Like I said, hope glad he's okay. I'm coming as a Cowboys fan who doesn't like the Niners, but glad he's okay and glad he, he could have been really a lot worse. And it was pretty bad. I mean,
Mhm.
he can't even come to work right now. He's got somebody filling in for him. You talk about that chain of command again because we almost lost an eye. We got concussion and broken bone. And, uh, my thought immediately goes to we all remember the Bobby Petrino image when he and old girl wrecked and he neck braced up at the presser. And that's what Cal Shanahan elected not to do because I'm not going to be here for a while. Y'all not going to see me. I'm going to have my man fill in for me because if he was doing his job, he would be rolling into camp looking like Bobby Petrino right now. So
I do think it's really funny that every time Bobby Petrino does anything, the neck brace photo comes back. I mean, it's an all timer. It really is an all timer.
it is. That's there's people, casual fans that's all they know of him. Don't even know
Yeah.
anything about. Didn't
There's
even
people
know
that don't
he.
even know he's coaching right now that know the neck brace photo.
It is that ingrained, man. It's in the culture of you know internet culture, casual fan culture, college football culture. Whatever degree of knowledge you have of it, you see him all red faced and swollen and dragging himself up there to that podium, man.
He was
So
coaching an SEC football team last season, and there's probably more people that know the neck brace photo than that know that fact.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So crazy times that we're living in. But appreciate you hopping on to get another episode. The UK football pivot, the La Familia title run. Hopefully it culminates in them, all getting however much. Like I like was it last year before, it would show the Zillow, somebody at the free throw line, it shows each percent of the share that every player is going to get during the game. It would, I forget who it was last year, but like his share would be $58,355.28. It would do that for every single player.
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully it'll be Willie and Hood and Khalil and everybody dividing that pie
Mm-hmm.
Sunday afternoon. So,
Yeah, exciting times. We'll see how it goes. We'll see who they end up facing. I think the other semifinal game of the other bracket is tomorrow, so we'll see which team gets here. I'm really rooting for the Mecca because I just think it'd be poetic, like I said. But um, we'll see, and I'll be back here on Sunday to cover that game once again. The final time I have to try to devour chicken strips in 5 minutes at halftime.
and apparently the Davis Steel team has ties to Kentucky. Look at the KSR guys were talking about how they're from Kentucky and used to
Yeah.
sponsor La Familia. Then they like, had a falling out and went and did that Eberline drive because Archie Goodwin used to play for that team. And so there's the Davis brothers or the Davis Steel. They have Kentucky ties. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
storyline there as well. So
Yeah.
hopefully Kentucky beats
Rooting for
whoever.
that not to be the story, personally.
I feel you.
Don't
I
want to
feel you.
fool with all that. But if it
Yeah.
happens, it's work for me. I'm not
Yeah.
someone who's gonna complain about work, but rooting for that not to be the case. We're rooting for the Mecca around these parts. Biggest
Yeah.
Mecca fans in TBT basketball history, me for the next 24 hours.
So let's get that dub over to Mecca and then roll right into media day on Monday.
If
And
they can beat the Mecca in the title game, it's gonna be so perfect, Vinny. I can already say Kentucky's the real Mecca. They beat, like it's just gonna work out so well. I don't
yeah,
ask for much in this job. I don't ask for much, but just give me this, basketball gods. Give me this one thing.
you got that stuff locked and loaded. You got it already.
I got already
So
drafted.
and then we talk media day Monday because
Hmm.
that's coming as well. And you know,
Got
whatever it looks
another
like.
batch of basketball media tomorrow. Got football media day coming up, and a whole lot. Fall camp getting started.
This is just real quick, just random. Will Stein on the kickoff luncheon with Tom Leach talked about him and the family are down there in Key West, and they run into a UK fan, and the rental car gives them a UK blue vehicle. I didn't picture him to be. I mean, I know you. I've been there with two little ones.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't picture him to be a minivan guy though. I thought he might still have the SUV with the family because
I would
that
have
was
thought like a
one thing.
sporty SUV.
Yes, that's my wife and I refused. Our kids are 17 and 13 now. Been through, I already been where he is with little ones. Had a 4-year-old and a newborn. Done that, right? But no, we refused to be minivan parents. Not with SUV. And look, to each their own. But I did not picture Will. I thought, she gave me a UK blue SUV, but he said minivan. I'm like, okay,
You want to
hey,
know a funny little anecdote that can send us home here? I'll tell a story. When I was a kid, like a little kid, my brother and I are 17 months apart. When I was a little kid, my mom had this blue Chrysler minivan. We were driving around, and we were little, and our parents were trying to like teach us different things. And for whatever reason, the concept of past, present, and future got
lost you. Past, present, and
Vinny, no.
future.
Am I
There
losing
you
you
go.
again? Okay, there we go. The concept of past, present, and future got brought up to try to explain to us kids how that works. So we're like, the future is what, the way they explain it is the future is what hasn't happened, but is going to happen. The past is what already happened, you know? And I said, the present is where we are right now. We're like, okay, cool, cool. And then going forward, every time we go for a drive, me and my brother would be like, are we in the present? Our friends would be like, yeah, yeah, you're in the present. They're getting it, you know, like the kids are getting it. Vinny, we thought the van was the present. We thought the minivan was the present for like a year. We were like maybe like 3 and 4 years old. We thought the
Uh,
minivan itself was the present, not time, not space, but the minivan. That's why we'd ask every time we went on a drive.
oh man.
Eventually, I figured out the concept of past, present, and future. But funny little anecdote from my childhood for you.
That present is tricky. Y'all had past and future down pat, but that
Hmm.
present, a
It's a
little.
minivan. The present is my mom's specific Chrysler baby blue minivan.
Ah, that's awesome. That is awesome. So man, that's a perfect little bow to close it up with, man. But yeah, and so Will Stein's a minivan guy too. All right, or maybe Darby wants it. Who knows?
Maybe
He
it's the
just
present.
yay,
You
it
never
is.
know.
Exactly, exactly. Appreciate y'all, man. Whoever's watching and listening now, or if you catch us when it's convenient, it'll be there on all the platforms. Rate, review, subscribe. We appreciate it. Check out everything Cole was doing for the Cat's Paws. Root on La Familia Sunday afternoon. Great way to spend the end of your weekend. A little basketball in July. Cats got a chance to win a title. Can't go wrong with any of that. Home court advantage at HMC. That's going to be an extra bonus too. Enjoy it. Appreciate you, Cole. And we will put a bow on this with our new little outro. Be more of our faces in amongst UK highlights. See everybody later. Believe in Kentucky.